All video games are based on sets of rules. You're just running through a loop of code, right? Certain conditions appear, you have to fulfill them, and then you move on, right? What about when the game starts to get a little bit cheeky? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Gameranx, 10 times video games broke their own rules. Starting off with number 10, the very secret room in Batman Arkham Asylum. Many of the best kept secrets in video games come from when a game intentionally decides to break its own rules. And one of the most famous examples of that is the Warden's Room in Batman Arkham Asylum. By this time, everybody's heard of this, right? It's a secret room that contains a teaser for the next game, Arkham City. And it was so hard to find that Rocksteady, the developers, had to just come out and tell people that the secret existed, because actually finding it was incredibly counterintuitive. The thing about this room is it doesn't just break one rule, it breaks two. Normally, Batman can use explosive gel to break through walls, and it always only takes one to get through the wall. Also, those walls are always highlighted when you switch to detective vision. So, 0 other walls that you can blow up with explosives work differently, except this one. So the wall is completely normal looking, there are no signs of damage, and you have to use 3 charges of explosive gel in the same spot to open it. So I don't think anybody actually expected a secret buried that deep in the game, and that's the reason it went undiscovered for so long. People didn't think Arkham Asylum would break the rules. Of course, it did. Like, that's why this is one of the more legendary secrets of all time, actually. At number 9 is jumping off the World Tree's branches in the God of War reboot from 2018. So with this list, I didn't really intend to talk about story-related rule breaking, but this one kind of combines the more core idea of the list with something that kind of breaks the story. So when traveling to other realms, you have to cross through the branches of the World Tree. You can actually fall off of them anytime if you want, and of course, it leads to death. The game makes a really big deal about this. It makes sure to hammer into your brain you can't jump off the World Tree's branches. Like, you don't do it, it's just gonna kill you. So of course, near the end of the game, that's what you have to do. The ultimate goal of the game is to reach the realm of the giants, and jumping off the World Tree's branches is the only way to do it. Normally, it wouldn't be that surprising of a twist, but the fact that the World Tree is basically a glorified loading screen makes it seem like it's a place where basically nothing can actually happen. It's like if Grand Theft Auto 5 wanted you to do something while the helicopter thing, the top-down view, was switching between characters. Like, it'd be bizarre. So obviously this isn't quite as strange as that, but it's an accurate comparison, I think. I mean, you're still controlling Kratos when you're on the World Tree, so it's a little different, but it's still kind of a glorified loading screen. And a cool little twist that I was actually pretty surprised by. At number 8 is getting attacked in the one place that's supposed to be safe in Elden Ring. In the dangerous world of Souls games, there's not really a lot of safe places. The Round Table Hold is one of them. It's a place where you can't even normally swing a weapon, and all the NPCs there are friendly, as long as you stay upstairs. The tricky devs at From love to surprise the player in new and increasingly cruel ways, but I assumed the hold would be safe, right? Nobody ever attacks in the Hunter's Dream in Bloodborne, for example. No, the last boss doesn't count. That's the end of the game. You kind of are waiting for, the end of the game. So when you randomly return to upgrade your gear, but suddenly everything's dark and you're completely under attack, it's shocking, to say the least. It feels wrong to get into a fight in this place. And while the guy who's ambushing you, Ensha, isn't too difficult to deal with, the fact he got jumped here, it feels wrong. Seriously, it's the one and only place you don't have to worry about getting attacked, and now that sense of safety it's gone. He only attacks you after getting one piece of the secret medallion, and thankfully he's the only guy who attacks you in the Round Table Hold. But man, the first time I saw that ambush, it scared the hell out of me. At number 7, Mitch Connor plays by his own rules in South Park: The Fractured Butthole. I love saying the name of that game. Basic premise of the South Park games is that with all the chaos that's going on in the titular town, at the end of the day, everything that's happening is just a bunch of kids playing pretend. The idea is taken to its logical extreme in the final boss in the second South Park RPG, where you take on the diabolical Mitch Connor. Yeah, it's just the world's most pathetic hand puppet, but that doesn't mean it isn't dangerous in a final battle. Unlike every other enemy you face who plays by the rules of the game, Mitch just makes things up as they go along, gives itself extra turns, gives your party negative status effects by just saying you have them or claiming that you actually didn't hit them. He's the kid who says gun when you're playing rock, paper, scissors. And it's a pretty brilliant idea for the last boss of a turn-based RPG. Most literal gods you beat up, who technically should have the ability to subvert the rules in every other RPG, they aren't as powerful as this guy because they play by the rules of the game. Mitch doesn't. And number 6 is hiding a secret on the save screen in Tunic. If there's one spot that's usually off limits in games, it's the save screen, right? Other than potentially hiding cheat codes, what other game can you think of that actually hides some kind of in-game puzzle on the save screen? Tunic is pretty much the only one I can think of, and it's pretty mind-blowing when you find it. I'm gonna try and explain this without sounding like a crazy person. It may not work, but here. So what happens is you select your save, but instead of picking load like a normal person, you cancel out, which generates this bizarre maxed out save in the third save slot. When you load it up, your little fox is gray, and for some reason it's just a bunch of hallways. Seems like nonsense, but there's actually a reason for this. It's just another part of an even greater puzzle called the Golden Path. There's a lot more to talk about here, but the important takeaway is just how bizarre of a secret this is. Video games just don't do this kind of thing on the save screen. But Tunic is a game that surprises you. At number 5 is the Trick QTE in Resident Evil Revelations 2. Remember this one? Before Resident Evil 7 came out and kind of revitalized the franchise, Capcom was still kind of keeping the series alive with the Revelation games. Second one was pretty great, other than this nasty trick they pull on you around the middle of the game. We all know what QTEs are, QuickTime events. Game flashes a button on screen, you press that button. Works pretty much the same for every game out there, including most of Revelations 2, but for some reason, for a critical moment, they decided to throw out the rule book. For this one situation, the game expects something different. It's not a small decision either. It's the difference between a good ending and a bad one. So about halfway through the game, and they're like, hey, you want the good ending or the bad one? Here's a QTE. Like, it's so counterintuitive. A lot of people didn't even realize there was a good ending. So if you're playing solo in the game, you're playing as Claire. She's the one that can actually fight enemies, while Moira is simply a more useful Ashley from Resident Evil 4. Most of the game doesn't really matter who you play as. But in this one encounter, you gotta switch to Moira for the QTE and have her do something that she spends the entire game saying she won't do, which is use a gun. Resident Evil games don't usually have branching paths, so it's confusing and frustrating. Like, how is anybody supposed to really figure this out and know that it's how they get one of two different endings? And number 4 is the Sans boss fight in Undertale. All right, back on track with something a little more lighthearted, I guess. Undertale's one of those games that's always playing around with the RPG format, but by far the weirdest, most fourth wall breaking battle in the game is Sans, the meme skeleton. Only way to fight this guy is to play the genocide route, where you kill everything. This mostly makes the game incredibly easy, but not Sans. He is by far the hardest fight in the game. Normally in Undertale, you get the first turn. The only character to break that is Sans, who just takes his turn first and hits you with his most powerful attack right off the bat. Just surviving this is going to take multiple tries, and that's just the start of the battle. Probably his most audacious trick he saves for last. At the end of the fight, he just decides not to take his turn. He doesn't pass, he just doesn't do anything. So, since it's a turn-based RPG, you really can't do anything until he does something. But his ultimate attack is to just not do anything. I mean, in some ways, he's kind of playing by the rules, but he's also not playing by the rules. It's actually pretty brilliant. I don't think I've seen any other RPG pull that trick before. At number 3 is the secret that makes no sense from Castlevania Symphony of the Night. A game with a lot of secrets, right? Like a ridiculous amount. Most of them make sense though, and wow, does this one not. There's usually some kind of rules for how secrets are obtained. You break a wall, you hit a switch, but this one doesn't even try to explain itself. I'm talking about the Jewel Sword secret. Right at the start of the game, you can find it behind a secret wall that's revealed by, and I'm completely serious when I say this, breaking both walls of this rock and passing through it in human, wolf, and then bat form. Like, you literally just have to go through this rock tunnel in every single form other than mist. I don't know how, why, or any other aspects. I just don't know. I don't understand. I don't know what the point. It seems arbitrary entirely, and it might be. It made it seem like anything could be possible when the game hides secrets through stuff that just have no logical rules whatsoever. It kept kids awake at night, staring at the ceiling, thinking, oh, what if I did this, like this, and then this? And then this, and then that. It could do something, right? That's what they told me when they said this did something. It's interesting, but also baffling. Like, whose idea was this? At number 2, when Nier Replicant deletes your save file, or maybe doesn't. I don't know. The original Nier is famous for pulling one of the nastiest tricks in gaming by making it so the only way you can get the ultimate ending is deleting your save file. Game's not bluffing either. That's really what happens. I played it. I know. And it really is a hit to the ego. As previously established, the sanctity of the save file process is kind of important when it comes to games. I don't want games playing tricks on me with save files, at least most of the time. But the updated re-release of Nier does something completely crazy. Deletes the save just like the original version, but then also restores it. That's the crazy thing. The save file is gone when you complete ending D, just not there. So you think to yourself the game's playing a trick on you and you start up a new save, but no, it's a new save file. And there's nothing new in the updated version of the game. If you didn't look it up, there's no way someone would even think that there's a new secret ending E in the game, but it is there. If you keep playing the game up to the point where you meet Kane, then the actual for real ending this time actually starts. So the game broke its rule. It goes back on the whole permanent save deletion. But to do that, it had to lie to you to get there. So asking players to play through a big chunk of the game for the 4th time is insane. So making it so there's still an ending to see after a previous ending that literally deleted your save is totally nuts. And finally, at number 1, when the goal isn't the end of the stage in Super Mario World. This is one of those games that was kind of one of the first mainstream big games to really mess with players' expectations. And this one's still kind of surprising even now. One constant in platform games is at the end of the level is the goal. There's a goal there at the end of the level. In Super Mario World, it's like, I don't know, there's football guys in the game, so maybe this is some kind of variation of a goalpost, I don't know. But it's there, and you know that's the end of the level, right? Well, not in Super Mario World. In a few levels, the secret exit isn't hidden before the end of level goals like in past games, but actually beyond it. You have to figure out a trick to get past the goal without triggering it, and even now it still feels like cheating to do. Now that I think about it, actually, as influential as this game is, it's a trick you don't really see very often, and that's part of the reason it still kind of catches me off guard when I revisit the game every few years. When you see the level goal, that's supposed to be it, but Super Mario World broke that rule in a big way.
And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on Gameranx.